Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called New York is Now Officially Dead. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Now, let's get started. New York is now officially dead. The world has been watching over the last couple of years as the politicians have been destroying the city. In the past, no matter how bad it got, a lot of people on the sidelines secretly thought it would someday get better. They thought perhaps a new set of politicians might come into office and save it. They thought maybe the people or the business owners would rise up and save it. They thought maybe the media would shame it by showing the world how crazy the politicians and their policies were. They hoped that maybe things would get so bad that the people in charge would wake up and one day realize that they were wrong, and maybe they would change their course of action. They even hoped that all of New York's growing financial problems might force it to change. But none of that has happened, and none of it will happen. And all the people living in New York who blame the politicians have just voted in some new politicians who are even crazier and more detached from reality than the previous politicians. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you just wait long enough, things will improve, right? That's not going to happen this time. We're way past that point. You know, when a patient dies on the operating table and the doctor stops trying to resuscitate them and then declares the time of death? Well, for the city of New York, that time of death occurred when these new politicians were voted in. It occurs every day on social media when new videos appear of street thugs beating 80-year-old women or snatching the babies out of the arms of mothers, and then no one does anything to help. It happens every time a new business closes its doors or a restaurant goes bankrupt because the city keeps implementing crazy new policies, preventing their customers from eating at these restaurants. Now that the city has officially died, here's what we're going to see going forward. Now that all the criminals know that the new mayor and the district attorney will not prosecute them, we're going to see the amount of criminality increase to biblical levels. In fact, we predict that baseball will no longer be New York's favorite pastime. We predict that sitting in your window with a video camera and filming all the street crime down below so that you can post it on social media, that's going to become New York's favorite new pastime. In fact, the level of crime will get so bad now that it's only a matter of time before people stop watching Netflix and start looking out their windows and front doors and just watch the insanity going on the streets. We believe that the gangs and the criminals will now start extorting people and blackmail them and demanding money for not killing or robbing or raping them. That's going to happen on a level this country has never seen before. We believe that the crime in the schools will also skyrocket. We believe that the school crime will now become as violent as the street crime and perhaps even worse. We think that it's only a matter of time before someone creates an app with maps of the street showing where you're most likely to be killed at what time of day. We believe that what few businesses and restaurants are still open in the city will soon close when they look out their front door or windows and they see a real-life purge going on in the streets. We also believe that the subways are about to become major shooting galleries for criminals who want to rob and rape and assault and shoot people who they know can't escape until the next subway stop. What's interesting about New York now is how many of the wealthy or the celebrities or the company owners who thought that the city is what America should be, and they spent their entire lives making fun of the Midwest and the South and the people who live there, insulting their lifestyles, making fun of their belief systems and their cultures, insulting their educational systems and their educational backgrounds, making fun of the way people lived in those areas, making fun of their religious beliefs, of their lifestyle choices, or their beliefs in law and order. They thought that the law and order was just too strict in the Midwest and too strict in the South. Now, all of those New York lunatics are fleeing the city and their culture and their politics, and they're headed where? To the Midwest, and to Texas, and to the Deep South, just to keep themselves and their families from being killed by all the crazy New Yorkers they funded and believed in and supported all those years. Because of all of this, New York is now a municipal corpse. The city is dead. Many of the businesses still open there are also dead or dying. They just don't realize it yet. They don't realize that the city is no longer going to protect them. Instead, it's going to come up with a crazy new way to tax them. It's going to come up with crazy new ways to make them less safe. It's going to start rationing out and triaging healthcare based on your race rather than your actual medical needs. It's going to start forcibly and legally taking rental properties from landlords after it made it almost impossible for them to collect their rent for the last 2.5 years. If you heard even 10% of all the crazy new laws and policies and rumors that the politicians want to implement in New York soon, then you would think that you were imagining things. You'd be thinking this can't be true, but it is true, and we'll prove it. Just look at all the insane laws and rules and mandates and regulations and taxes and fees that they've enacted in New York recently, and ask yourself this: how is this possible? How is any of this constitutional? Well, if you do the research, you'll quickly determine that most of those rules were not constitutional. And yet the politicians kept implementing these crazy rules. Right now in New York, 2/3 of the population works from home. They do this because of the health concerns. They do this because they're tired of being robbed and assaulted each day on the way to work. They do this because they can't risk their health, their safety, or the money they need to survive. But now the new mayor wants business in New York to force employees to come to the office at least 2 or 3 days a week, he's hoping. He wants that despite the fact that they're not going to arrest or prosecute criminals. They're not going to keep stores open or help people stay safe. They're not going to reduce taxes on all the people who've been out of work for too long. They're not going to help people in any way. They can't get any companies to come back to the city, and they can't stop all the companies and restaurants that are closing or relocating from leaving. They can't create any new jobs, and they can't keep the schools open. But they want to force people to physically come to work so that they can get robbed every day and pay more taxes and fees and all of that nonsense. What you're witnessing now is how politicians and the people who voted for them and continue to vote for them have politically and financially killed the city of New York. It's now reached a point where you can't even give office space away. Nobody wants it. There are more for sale and for lease signs visible in New York now than ever before. Not even during the Great Depression in 1929 has there been so much crime and economic difficulty as there is now in New York. Like we said, New York is now officially dead. The only people who don't realize this or acknowledge it are the criminals who are getting rich robbing people, and the politicians who are looting the treasuries. As for all of the citizens of New York who are fleeing to other states, just watch what happens when they get there. They immediately start trying to implement the same policies and laws in their new cities that they implemented in the city of New York and that ultimately destroyed it. This is a very strange and destructive phenomenon, and it's going to continue spreading across the country. Thank you for watching. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word. Thank you, and we shall talk to you soon. Bye-bye.